Hi there, this is Justin Krane, Certified Financial Planner Professional and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. So how can you really live? How? By uniting your business money, your personal money with your life and your business. Word up.
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
Hey everyone, welcome to Money You Got This. This is Justin Krane, welcoming you to the show. This show is brought to you by Krane Financial Solutions. I'm Justin Krane. I'm a certified financial planner professional. I can barely say that 5 times fast. I offer investment management services and act as a fractional CFO to business executives. I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks. Today, we've got someone who I don't know well, but I think at the end of the show, I'm going to know even better because this guy's in marketing and I love marketing. So who do we have on today? We have DelMain. Dan, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So let me tell everybody a little bit about Dan. Since 2009, Dan and his team at DelMain have helped dentists around the U.S. tell their unique stories, attract the right patients, and grow their practices through SEO, content marketing, Google Ads, and website design. Dan's a proud member of the Academy of Dental Management Consultants and is a frequent contributor to dental publications, podcasts, conferences, including Dentistry IQ, Dental Town, and Bulletproof Dental Practice. Wow, that's a lot. I'm really excited to have you on here. I work with dentists. I know you do too. So I just would love to just say, Dan DelMain. That sounds like an author, famous, like you're going to win the Academy Award with that name.
I'm the first of 3 boys, so I like to think that my mom and dad used up the good name on the first go around.
I love it. I love it. So you're in Portland, right?
Yeah. Beautiful, sunny Portland, Oregon.
Were you born there?
Born and raised, yeah.
Wow. And so how did you get into working with dentists?
Yeah, so it's been my company for the past 10 years. And when we first started, we worked with a lot of different small businesses. And then that kind of graduated into a select smaller group of small businesses. And over the last couple of years, we really narrowed our field to dental only based on results, our methodology, our track record. And we just really like working with dentists, single practice GPs. It kind of spans the gamut because a lot of times we find they're hungry, they're ambitious, they want to grow, maybe multi-practice, bring on associate, bring on another dentist. And that is in our alignment because when we work with the growth right out the gate. So we kind of fell in love with dentists.
Wow. Have you decided, now you say you're only focusing on dentists, but I read that you were working with like chiropractors and, lawyers and some other fields. When did you make the decision to solely go with dentists and just stay in that one vertical?
It's been a slow move, but within the past 12 months, we flipped the switch to exclusively work with dentists. And we haven't looked back since. But you're absolutely right. Like we did work with different small businesses before. And I think that was to our benefit because very much it gave us sort of a broader scope, different avenues within digital marketing, website design, and kind of borrow from a lot of best practices inside of dental and outside of dental to really hone and inform our strategy within dental.
So I love it because I don't just work with dentists. I mean, as a CFO and a financial advisor, I work with lots of business owners, but I've recently focused on working with dentists and it's been a great ride. And I decided to go a little bit deeper with dentists because I was like, who am I working with right now? And where am I having the success? And what are the problems that they have that I can solve? So it's been a great ride. And one of the things that I see with the dentists is like, they view marketing as an expense and not as an investment. And I thought we could talk a little bit about that, because marketing, I want you to talk about your opinion on that. But what I see the dentists do, they try to do it on their own. They do it for about 4 minutes. They suck at it. They throw in the towel and they're like, I'm done. Let's just send bagels to the, to a referring doctor or something like that. And they don't really understand that it is an investment and that it's a long-term thing. And they're looking for like a quick fix, but I don't see it like that all the time.
You're absolutely right. And I definitely preach this. This is written on a lot of materials that we correspond with dentists. It's very much an investment into long-term practice growth. So if you're a dentist that, you're working on your exit strategy, you're about to retire, you're 3 years out, maybe it doesn't make the most sense for you unless like you really want to sort of up the new patient numbers, almost like a floodgate when you go to sell that practice. So you're absolutely right. It's an investment, especially when we talk about search engine optimization, like that SEO is the acronym, and keyword rankings and website visibility and website traffic. Like very much I use the analogy of it's a snowball, right? So as you're sort of building up your site's credibility in the eyes with Google and other search engines like Yahoo and Bing, the snowball continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as you increase the authority, you begin ranking collectively for more and more keywords, more visibility, more traffic. And you get to sort of this beautiful state after, whether it's like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, depending on the competitiveness of your locale, where you build this snowball that's so freaking massive that your other competitors have an almost impossible barrier to entry to get in and to begin stealing potential new patients away from you. So I will say that come on an SEO. And then on the flip side, like there are definitely sort of more immediate wins with like Google ads or Facebook ads, or kind of like the advertising side of things where you can have something up running overnight and you're going to constantly refine it over time. But as soon as you hit pause on those ads, it all just disappears, right? Yeah. Versus the SEO is the long-term versus short-term.
So I'm a numbers guy. I look at tons of P&Ls for business owners and dentists. And I'm curious, do you have a recommendation to a business owner as to what % of their sales, or I'll call it, so sales is one thing, or gross profit, depending on if they have like inventory or people working for them to deliver a service. But do you have an idea as to how much should someone spend, in particular a dentist, on marketing?
This varies. And I think that every sort of expert, both in my realm working with dentists as well as dentists that have sort of really built up their practice, so they have multiple locations, or they're thinking about starting their own DSO. From 3 to 7% potentially of what your revenues are should be going into marketing, advertising, and targeting those new patients. And I think it's also important to point out, Justin, that your existing patients are your cheapest patients, right? But there's always opportunity to bring in new patients. And that's really where marketing, advertising, and other avenues really come into play for dentists.
I just want to interrupt the show and just highlight the fact that DelMain has the best hair I've ever seen this week. The guy's hair is awesome. All right, let's get back to marketing. It's amazing.
Actually, before, I just want to interrupt you, Justin. And I've done quite a few dental podcasts. I love them. I want to say, hands down, you have the most catchy, memorable podcast name I've ever heard. Money, you got this. Like, can we just take a quick time out? I really want to hear the backstory here.
Well, at the start of the show, I'm just going to be transparent with everyone listening. I have 72 kids at home with the flu, 72. And I raced into my office, like everyone's on Tamiflu and amoxicillin and the whole deal. And we got face masks and humidifiers going. And I got all that stuff at home. So I'm running in here and I do the intro to the show and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot to say that I was an author of the book, Money, You Got This. So to answer your question, I wrote this book called Money, You Got This. But how did I write the book? I basically wrote a daily or like every 2-3 days, I wrote a newsletter, and I had so much fun writing. And a lot of the stories were about funny, wacky, crazy stuff that happened in my life. A lot of them were with my wife. Like, we were running late to go to a dinner, and she gets in the car and puts lipstick on her cheek and starts rubbing it in. And I'm like, babe, what are you doing? She says, you didn't even know that. That's what we do to put on a little bit of blush when we're rushing for time. I'm like, oh my God, there's a teaching lesson. There's a learning lesson in there. Like, make good use of what you have. Use your inventory wisely. Be creative. And I just started writing like that. And I'm like, I had no idea that women could put lipstick on their cheek and rub it in and roll with it. So I kept writing these emails, and people would reply back. They'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it's funny, and I do like your points. So I decided to write a book called Money, You Got This. And I think the reason why I say Money, You Got This is there's a lot of people that freak out and want to stick their head in the sand with money. So I'm like, money, and whenever anyone hears money, they're like, what? And then it's more like, you got this. Like, you can do it. You just got to make some progress, gain some momentum, and roll with it. So that's how I wrote the book. We've taken the podcast show and named it that. And I love business and money. And the book is about absolutely nothing. There's no plot in the book. You can open up page 12 or 182, have a glass of wine, and there's no pop quiz.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So let's go back to you, because this is all about you, not about me and my 400 sick kids at home. All right. So what I want to know is a little bit about how you're delivering the marketing service to business owners. Is it you? Do you have a team? Are you the one interacting with each dentist? How are you running your business and also delivering the service that people are paying you for?
Yes. So I have a luxury of having a 14-person team, about to be 16 next month. And we're broken up into different departments. I have my account management team. I have my SEO and paid advertising team. I have my content marketing team, and then finally my web design and development team. And it's very much a collective, collaborative effort when we bring on a dentist based on their needs and the problems that they're looking to solve. And I find more often than not, when I kind of build up to that in the discovery call of what is the central problem that you're trying to solve, like, why are we having this phone call today? And oftentimes, Justin, it's, okay, we're getting X amount of new patients right now, but I would like to double that. Mm-hmm. So 20 new patients, depending on their growth strategy, where they're at capacity wise with their operatories, et cetera. So that is the number one problem that we're looking to solve. And I find that by having a big team and a lot of different skill sets and disciplines, we're very much able to hit those results. Like, the expectation is we'll hit those results, but the communication, the loyalty, all the intangibles, I think, are really why dentists stick with us over the long term.
That's huge. I just was as I'm listening, I'm like, wow, 14 people, all these different avenues. Like, I love marketing, and it's interesting that you're offering all of these things. And a lot of times business owners will just do one of these. They might just do content marketing and not email marketing, or just do SEO. So what do you think dentists and business owners should do with respect to marketing? Should it be holistic? Should they do a little bit of everything? Should they go a mile deep on only one thing? How should a business owner, I guess in particular a dentist, how do they deal with it? Do they do it all, or do they go Han Solo and go very deep in one thing?
I mean, I think that's a great question. I think it really depends on where they're at with their practice, right? So, for example, like this morning, I spoke to a dentist in Valparaiso, Indiana, who is in the process of starting a brand new dental practice. So not purchasing one, but starting one. And my feedback to her was, you have all these different avenues to really aggressively grow new patients. But if you're right out of the gate, you have a brand new website, brand new branding, everything is new. Google Ads, like a form of advertising, really makes sense to kind of throttle that new patient growth. Versus if you're more established, maybe a multi-locations, a stronger investment into social media, where you're really kind of playing up the brand visibility. You're touching as many different or existing patients as possible. So you're really kind of pushing the lifetime value of the patient. And then somewhere in the middle, there's like search engine optimization, content marketing, kind of going back to that snowball analogy I gave early. So it really depends on where the dentist is at in their practice and what are their long-term goals. I really do feel like there's a solution for everyone. But I'm not a big proponent of doing a lot of different things when you can concentrate on maybe 1, 2, or 3 things where you know you're going to get the best return on your investment. So the perfect example of this, Justin, a lot of times I get the question of like, when it comes to social media, do I have to be on LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and pretty much like the litany of social media? And the feedback I always give dentists is, you know, depending on where your target audience is, I think that's important. Like if maybe they're a little bit older, then focus on Facebook. Maybe if it's a little bit younger, more closer to a millennial crowd, focus on Instagram. But maybe pick like 1, 2, 3 max and really get good at those platforms to really give your voice a megaphone. And don't worry about all the others, at least for now.
Wow, that was big. I want to ask you about. Okay, so let's start at the top on my question. So there's some marketing is like direct response marketing where you can really track it. Like you put an ad with a call to action link or a phone number or something, you can start tracking that. And then some marketing and advertising is more just like brand recognition where you can't track it and elicit a sale or something like that. So can you talk a little bit about the difference between the two, whether you actually do track the ROI on an ad spend for the dentist, or does the dentist have someone at their office that tracks that? And then how do you deliver the ROI to the dentist if it is trackable?
Yeah, ROI is a big thing because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're communicating the results back. It's being properly tracked and verified, and that dentist is getting the return on their investment. And you kind of led with Google Ads. I'm glad that you started there, Justin, because I feel like of the many forms of marketing and advertising, Google Ads, Bing Ads, Facebook advertising, like that is probably one of the better sort of granular one-to-one forms of tracking. So every dollar that you put into it, it's 100% measurable based on the ad creative you're running, the keyword the search that they perform, that then they click on the ad and come in. And then, so I'll start with Google Ads. And then in terms of like search engine optimization, then you're kind of measuring a little bit more in buckets, right? And then you get into like social media and some of those others, then I would say like in terms of actual like measurable dollar to dollar gets a little bit more gray. But when it comes to tracking and when it comes to measuring, like some of our favorite tools, contact form submissions, measuring phone calls, if they're using NextHealth or LocalMed or some sort of online scheduling, or if they're using some sort of like instant messenger widget, whether it's text or in real time, you can begin measuring a lot of those different touch points. And then the hope is between the phone calls, the form submissions, those other touch points, then there's a vehicle like such as like RevenueWell or something that you can get even more granular tracking, like once it kind of feeds into the practice, you're looking at the lifetime value of a client. And really you can kind of parse that data all the way to like that first form submission, that phone call from like 2 years ago. And like, you know, that patient that came in, basically worked their way up to like a crown, then an implant, right? So the lifetime value is high. You can trace it all the way back. So it is very, very granular in terms of where that money is going.
I love it. You know, you mentioned ROI. Have you ever heard of the term ROB?
No, enlighten me, please.
Return on bagpiping.
Now, we're going here. Okay.
Bring your bagpipe to the show or no?
I don't have it here in the office, no, but oh my gosh, you did some deep digging. I love it. Yes, everybody on Money You Got This podcast. I played the bagpipes for close to 20 years now. Been to Scotland 5 times, competed in a couple world championships. So when I'm not working, I'm dabbling a little bit in the black arts of bagpiping.
That is amazing. So how did you get into that?
Okay. Do you want to hear my version or my mom's version?
God, I'll go with mom. Let's go with mom all the way.
Okay. So mom's version goes, when I was in 7th grade, we were at a Highland Games here in Oregon. So Highland Games is a Scottish festival. They have all sorts of things, athletics, Highland dancing, bagpiping. And we were there, and supposedly the story goes, I pointed at a bagpiper, said, "Mom, I really, really want to learn how to do that." And then she began, finding someone in the local Portland area, started taking lessons. There was a kids band, there was infrastructure in place, and then the rest is history.
That is awesome. That is super, super cool. By the way, everyone, Dan's hair is still in full force. It's looking good. Even though we're talking about bagpiping, content marketing, SEO, dentists, and all that stuff, the guy is still for real. I want to end just a little bit about, okay. I just want to talk about Portland for a minute because you do work there and live there. Have you decided to focus on dentistry in Portland, or are you like, I'm going global and I'm going to conquer the world? I'm just curious your approach.
So one of our value adds is we have a 1 client per community policy. So 1 dentist per community. We're mostly maxed out here in Portland, right? Because we don't want to put our clients against one another. I think the most visual example of this is there's only one #1 ranking for dentists near me or implants dentists, et cetera, right? And we don't feel comfortable pinning our dentists against one another. And there's a lot of other reasons. So we're mostly maxed out of Portland, but believe it or not, most of our dental clients are on the East Coast. I guess it's not too surprising because that's where a heavy population is concentrated in the United States, right? So yeah.
Awesome. And I want to talk a little bit about just how you manage your own time. What is the first hour or 2 that you wake up and you're doing your thing and you're not bagpiping? What is it that you're doing?
Before work or during work?
No, before, your first hour of the day. What are you doing?
Okay, so, oh my gosh, you got me vulnerable here, Justin. Okay, so I developed a stretching routine that I've...
We've talked about bagpiping. Now I'm asking you if you're drinking coffee, having eggs, or replying to email, or reading or something.
None of that until I have a 15-20 minute stretching exercise, which I've been doing religiously, and I highly recommend it, especially for dentists that are and then the second thing I'm taking a stab at, I've been in it for about 4 weeks, is a 15-minute meditation. I'm terrible at it, by the way. Tried a lot of different apps, a lot of different breathing styles, but that is one of my goals for 2020. We'll see how it goes. And then I get a walk to work. I live a mile away from work. And then, just get going into my day. It's a beautiful start to the day, Justin.
I love it. Well, thank you for coming on. Where can people go to learn more about you?
Yes. So the website is DelMain.co. So DelMain.co. But I recommend shooting me an email, dan@DelMain.co, or you can call the office and ask for me, 503-477-9298. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And really what I try to do is give away as much information as I can, solve as many problems for the dentist on the phone, steer them in the right direction, and if we're a good fit potentially for each other, then kind of take the next step in that journey. But really, my goal, and I think that you subscribe to this, Justin, is to try to be a resource, connect the dots, and make sure that their business is growing in the right direction.
Awesome. Well, we'll put all of the links in the show notes. Thanks again for coming on, Dan.
Thanks so much for having me, Justin.
Have a good one. Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.